Pinduoduo has flooded the global market with subpar products, damaging business standards worldwide. It has polluted the commercial environment, leading to a steep decline in profit margins globally. This platform has taken a toll on China's business culture, rolling back the nation's integrity and product quality by over 20 years. In the past, products needed to be profitable for companies to claim their share of the market, and competition wasn't so cutthroat. But with Pinduoduo, competition between platforms has intensified, squeezing businesses and supply chains. This has forced them to slash costs, resulting in consumers receiving inconsistent and often poor quality products. Operating with burned capital or zero profits every day harms society and provides no real benefit.
This man's remark suggests that Pinduoduo and similar platforms have deeply affected the market with their low price strategies. These effects are not just limited to China but have spread globally. Recently, the Dutch government decided to impose taxes on packages imported from outside the EU. This move is seen as a response to Chinese online stores selling tax-free goods in the Dutch market. The goal is to protect local markets and consumers. A spokesperson for the Dutch Ministry of Finance said that taxing all incoming packages would create a fairer, competitive environment for traditional trade. This policy mainly targets Chinese e-commerce platforms like Shein, Temu, and Aliexpress, which have greatly benefited from tax exemptions on low-value goods. Before, packages valued below €150 were exempt from taxes. The new rule are meant to change this to ensure that all imports are taxed fairly. These online stores has become quite popular in the Netherlands. According to trade association Telswinkel.org, Dutch consumers placed nearly 9 million orders from the Chinese platform last year, which is a 39% increase from 2022. Jesse Weldeveren, a lecturer in online entrepreneurship at the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, told the Current Affairs program Nieuwsuur that these low-cost platforms are damaging fair competition in the Dutch business environment. He pointed out that many Chinese companies don't allow European business regulations, which harm local platforms and online stores. Weldeveren believes that government intervention is necessary to fix this. At the same time, European companies like Amazon and About You are planning to adopt similar business models to compete with Shein, Temu, and Aliexpress. Weldeveren raised concerns about whether the government is encouraging further consumption through price competition. He said that while this price war may offer some short-term benefits, it could harm the economy in the long run. John Lin, an expert in China's e-commerce, supported the Dutch government's actions against low-cost online stores. However, he questioned whether import taxes alone would be enough to stop unfair competition. Lin explained that, for instance, a phone charging cable priced at €2 online might soon rise to €2.4. In comparison, the same item would cost between €10 and €15 in Dutch stores. He pointed out that European countries will never be able to compete with China's low-cost platforms because they cut out the middleman, importers, distributors, and stores, keeping prices much lower. Earlier this month, the Financial Times reported that the European Commission plans to impose import duties on all packages ordered from non-EU retailers. Since EU customs regulations are managed by the European Union, this plan would need approval from all member states. Since 2022, China's cross-border e-commerce industry has been growing rapidly worldwide. According to a report by China's Xinhua news agency, cross-border e-commerce has increased its shares of China's foreign trade from less than 1% to around 5% over the past 5 years. Between January and September 2023, the total value of cross-border e-commerce imports and exports reached 1.7 trillion yuan, an increase of 14.4% from the previous year. Western media reported that during the pandemic from 2020 to 2022, global consumers' shopping habits changed, with online shopping demand surging. B2C cross-border e-commerce saw explosive growth, and platforms like Alibaba's AliExpress, fast fashion brand like Shein, and Pinduoduo's international version of Temu expanding rapidly. After 2022, China's cross-border e-commerce entered a stage of collective international expansion, with many domestic brands entering overseas market. Small and medium-sized businesses also use these platforms to go to global. Temu is a subsidiary of Pinduoduo and has replicated its success in China in the international market. It uses China's supply chain to offer highly affordable products to international customers. For example, Temu sells a $2.99 air fryer and a pack of 10 pairs of socks for $1.9 US, prices that are 30 to 50% lower than competitors. Since Temu launched in the US in September 2022, it quickly became the most downloaded iPhone app in the US in 2023. After entering Europe in April 2023, Temu's popularity skyrocketed. According to ECC Köln, 32% of German consumers shopped on the platform compared to only 11% the previous year. Temu and Shein's user numbers have increased rapidly, making them a significant threat to Amazon, the largest retailer in the US. In November last year, Nikkei Asia analyzed data on user numbers and downloads of major e-commerce apps. The analysis showed that in October, Amazon's global user count grew by only 4% year-on-year, while Temu and Shein surged by 260%. The fastest growth was in the US among global users. Temu accounted for 41%, Shein for 18%, both surpassing Amazon's 15%. In terms of new downloads in the US, Temu and Shein outpaced Amazon by 5 times. Chinese cross-border e-commerce platforms have not only entered European and American market, but have also expanded quickly into Asian markets like South Korea and Japan. According to Wise App Retail Goods, a South Korean mobile app and retail analysis service, February saw a record number of users for Chinese e-commerce platforms Aliexpress, Temu, and Shein. Aliexpress had 8.2 million users, up 130% year-on-year, the highest since 2016. Temu and Shein also reached all-time highs with 5.8 million and 680,000 users, respectively. In February, Aliexpress and Temu ranked second and fourth on South Korea's comprehensive shopping app list. Data from South Korea's customs service released on March 17th show that the volume of cross-border e-commerce imports from China grew by 70% year-on-year in 2023. During the same period, total overseas direct purchases increased by 36.7%. Voice of America reported that the fast fashion industry is estimated to contribute about 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Shein can release thousands of new products on its platform every day, a pace unmatched by other platforms. Some of these products are listed before production begins, and suppliers only start making them after receiving orders. If no orders are placed, production stops. An internet observer based in Taiwan named Zola said he has received numerous Shein advertising emails. While this platform keeps a low profile in China, it is very active outside the country, using marketing tactics that traditional media often miss. Much of this involves sending spam emails. Even after following international rules to unsubscribe, Shein continued to send emails, forcing Zola to change his approach. He believes Shein's ability to collect global email addresses for promotion, combined with its pricing and variety of advantages, effectively attracts younger users. Although these Chinese e-commerce platforms attract users with low prices and a wide variety of goods, they perform poorly in other areas. Germany's Handelsblatt noted that while Temu offers free returns, customers often complain about disputes with sellers during the return process or being denied refunds. Not only that, Temu actively removes negative reviews. Professor Xie Tian from the School of Business at the University of South Carolina, Aiken, said that Temu and Shein have been expanding rapidly overseas for 2 main reasons. First, the aggressive advertising on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and second, their extremely low prices sometimes can be absurdly low. For example, a piece of clothing or a small item that might cost $20 to $30 in the US can be sold for just $1 on these platforms, with free shipping. Due to high inflation in Europe and in the US, people are eager to save money and find it hard to resist such deals. However, Xie pointed out that this is just a marketing expanding tactic. Customers are offered nearly 90% discounts on their first purchase, but once they become regular customers, the discounts disappear, although prices remain low. Xie Tian said Chinese small goods have a major flaw. They're unreliable. They're cheap, but low quality, often made from small plastic or metal parts that break after just a few uses. buyers would feel like they've bought a pile of literal garbage. Another big issue is long delivery times. In the US, people can buy from Amazon and get the items within a day or two. But with platforms like Temu, it can take 2 to 3 weeks or even longer. In fact, American department stores already sell these small items. You can go to the store, buy a large bag of them, and it won't cost much. But when these items are shipped across the ocean in dozens of small packages, it really is a waste of resources. Reports show China's cross-border e-commerce industry grew fast due to strong support from the Chinese government. The government promoted export trade by offering tax breaks, subsidies, and loosening regulations, helping the industry grow quickly. Since 2014, cross-border e-commerce has been included in China's government work reports for 11 years in a row. It's seen as a new driver for foreign trade growth. Starting in 2015, Chinese authorities set up 165 cross-border e-commerce pilot zones. In these zones, retail export goods are exempt from value-added and consumption taxes, and companies also get income tax breaks. During the 2018 US-China trade war, the Chinese government reduced export taxes to counter US tariffs on Chinese goods. The key e-commerce hubs like Hangzhou and Shenzhen local governments offered more incentives. In February last year, Hangzhou gave cross-border e-commerce companies up to 2 million yuan in support. Companies promoting their brands on social media, search engines, or live streaming received up to 25% back on the promotional cost. Hangzhou also covered up to 7% of both fees for companies attending cross-border e-commerce exhibitions. Shein said tax exemptions, reduced export taxes, and rebates are all forms of government subsidies. The Chinese government actively supports e-commerce companies by offering these tax breaks and subsidies to help them expand into overseas market. This allows them to bypass tariffs and enter US and European markets directly, boosting China's exports. Other reports reveal that platforms like Temu rely heavily on collecting large amounts of data, including consumer search and click behavior. Even though Temu claims customer data is safe and says European customer data is stored in Europe, security analysis firm Joe Sandbox called Temu a malicious app. On May 16, 2024, a European consumer group accused Temu of using manipulative tactics in violation of EU online platform regulations. The group pointed out that Temu failed to provide consumer with key information about sellers, leading to consumers spending more than they intended and complicating the account closure process. American economist David Huang said these cross-border e-commerce platforms have been secretly collecting user data. He said China has been stealing, misusing, and selling user privacy without following any rules or regulation. This is now an undeniable fact. He also said these platforms are even more ruthless with foreign users. They will definitely misuse and sell large amounts of personal and banking information from US and European users. This is a serious threat to both individual and national security. The biggest challenges these cross-border e-commerce platforms face might be compliance issues. These include dodging tariffs, dumping goods, environmental sustainability, intellectual property rights, and labor exploitation. Countries in Europe and in the US are starting to fight back against these practices. Last summer, a US congressional report pointed out that the low prices of Chinese fast fashion e-commerce could be linked to forced labor and exploiting loopholes in the US postal system. Even though Shein and Temu have faced increased scrutiny in the US, their imports of tax-exempt small packages have grown dramatically. Both platforms are known for low-cost goods and use a rule called de minimis, which allows goods valued under $800 to enter the US without being taxed. According to Voice of America, Mike Gallagher, chairman of the US House of Representatives Select Committee on the CCP, said on March 2nd that around 1.1 billion shipments entered the US tax-free under the de minimis rule in 2023. This was a shocking 53% increase from 2022. Based on data from US Customs and Border Protection, Gallagher said that over 485 million tax-exempt packages have been shipped to the US this fiscal year alone. He added that this loophole could help companies avoid scrutiny or forced labor. Gallagher urged Congress to take urgent action on this issue. The Select Committee on the CCP said that in its midterm report last June, Temu and Shein could account for more than 30% of all the de minimis packages shipped to the US each day. For packages coming from China, the numbers were even higher. On March 1st, the Select Committee said foreign companies have built entire business models around exploiting the de minimis rules to avoid taxes and inspections. This has hurt American companies that follow the rules by allowing foreign companies to lower prices unfairly. On March 30th, Voice of America reported that while Chinese e-commerce platforms like Aliexpress, Shein, and Temu quickly took over the European market with low prices and efficient supply chains, Europe is now stepping up its oversight. The EU has already begun investigating some of these platforms, and in the future, tougher sustainability standards will increase the pressure. With the EU's Digital Service Act and the Digital Markets Act now in effect, and new laws targeting fast fashion, Chinese platforms will face new challenges. The report said that even before the Digital Service Act officially took effect, oversight of large platforms had already started. While social media platforms have attracted more attention for shaping public opinion, e-commerce platforms have quietly focused on making profits. However, the EU's Digital Service Act has now made AliExpress from Alibaba a key target for investigation. Last November, the European Commission asked AliExpress to explain how it protects consumers online, especially regarding the sale of illegal products like counterfeit drugs. On March 14th, the European Commission officially launched an investigation into AliExpress. This investigation has become a priority. The focus is on whether the platform complies with the Digital Services Act in areas like content moderation, complaint mechanism, and transparency in advertising and recommendation algorithms. The EU also claims AliExpress hasn't done enough to block harmful products like counterfeit drugs, nutritional supplements, and pornography. If found guilty of breaking EU laws, AliExpress could face fines of up to 6% of its global sales. Last year, France introduced Law 2129, which imposes an eco-footprint tax on low-cost fast fashion products. In April, South Korean regulators began investigating Temu for suspected false advertising and unfair practices. Professor Xie Tian said that it's no longer just about being alert. Chinese cross-border e-commerce platforms are now in the crosshairs. The next question is whether the shots fired will be bullets, cannonballs, or missiles. Xie Tian supposed the days ahead won't be easy for these platforms.